Hello there. I've just been browsing through this interesting document from Andres Segovia, and it's from 1945. Let's have a look. So there's a biographical note, and it says Andres Segovia was born in Andalusia, a region of Spain, eminently suited for artistic contemplation. He spent his childhood in Granada. In this marvel of cities, the guitar is a daily element of the emotional life of the populace. Andres Segovia felt vehemently attracted to the guitar ever since his infancy, and I would recommend The Song of the Guitar for more on that. That's Andres Segovia's sort of autobiography, documented in video. It's brilliant. So despite the limited aid that the easygoing imagination of the populace could contribute, he imposed upon himself the duty of discovering the musical roots of the instrument, and consecrated all his youthful energies to the dual task of investigating the remote past of this beautiful instrument and to prepare the technique which one day he would reveal to the world. As he himself says, he was his own teacher and pupil, and thanks to the efforts of both, they were not disconnected with each other. He gave his first public audition at the age of 14. Since then, his artistic career ascended uninterruptedly. Sorry, I just can't quite get the angle. After touring with increasing success the most important cities of Spain, he undertook his first trip to South America in 1920. 3 years later, his appearance in Paris in the Salle du Conservatoire was saluted by the artists, the critics, and the French public with great enthusiasm. From that moment on, his name remains with the group of the highest international significance. Until 1939, he annually toured the major capitals of Europe, Russia, the Far East, United States, Central and South America. Thanks to him, the guitar, of which Debussy said, "C'est un clavecin, mais expressif," won its place in the concert halls of the entire world. So, Andres Segovia has endowed the guitar with a vast heritage, together with the happy results of his investigations in the field of history, starting with the vihuela, says it's the original guitar, in which he brought out beautiful musical pages by Alonso de Midara, Luis Milan, Roberto de Viseo, as well as those unearthed from the French, English, German, and Italian lute, and a prodigious volume of transcription of classical works. Composers of high artistic standing have collaborated with him in the creation of a modern repertoire for the guitar. Turina, Toroba, Manuel Ponce, Albert Roussel, Cyril Scott, Alexander Tansman, Castelnuovo Tedesco, etc., have dedicated to him works of permanent and rare instrumental value, among them some concertos for the guitar and small orchestra, which constitute one of the most legitimate satisfactions, since the guitar has thus acquired the same artistic rank as other solo instruments. So, Andres Segovia, 20 Studies for the Guitar by Fernando. So there's copyrighted 1945, so the copyright should be done. Printed in USA by Edward B. Marks Music Corporation, New York, New York. And there's Fernando So. That's all in Spanish, so I'm not reading that. There's Segovia's famous signature. That's 1945. And we can see the back cover for the English translation. So it's 20 studies. There's the first study. I think they're all free online. But it was interesting, like, they are numbered 1 through, 20. So there are 20 there, which I'm not going to go through. So there's number 20. And then we have the translation of the first page, which says, "The studies in this volume were chosen from the most effective and beautiful ones written by Fernando So for the guitar. Not many masters have succeeded in their studies for the gradual development of the instrument's technique in achieving the right balance between the pedagogical purpose and the natural musical beauty." That word pedagogical put me off. I said it then. Among the most sublime, there comes to mind the names of Domenico Scarlatti, whose luminous sonatas were destined to exercise already skillful fingers, and that of Frédéric Chopin, whose genius displays the great vigour and profound poetry of his magnificent Etudes. Unfortunately, the guitar has not been played as much as other instruments which won public admiration in concert halls. It had but a few masters who could contribute more wealth to the achievements of their predecessors, but a few students who devoted themselves with loving patience to the study of pedagogical experiments of the old as well as the new masters. So that would include Paganini, Schubert. I think Beethoven had a guitar, and then the guitar sort of world wasn't recorded because they didn't have recording instruments. But what I read is that the guitar took over the mantle from what the harpsichord was, the small piano. So if you listen to, I think it's Christina Sanderson, she really plays like a grand piano. It's amazing. I don't know what guitar it is, but wow. So a considerable part of the guitar educational literature consisted of the precarious works of the insolvent amateurs of the guitar, suitable to pass for mastership only in the suburbs of the musical field. So he's saying, it wasn't really a great instrument for people to master. It was very difficult to learn the instrument. So until now, there has not been formed any systematic and progressive method able to guide the attentive student of the guitar from the first steps of painful apprenticeship until the heights of perfection. So I think, the electrification of the guitar has had a lot to do with the popularity growth as well. So the rich traditions of the old viejuelists, the original guitar, have originally been worn out until they did not possess any more strength to sustain their place in guitar life, with the exception of a few names of the 19th century, which, however, did not belong to the vigorous talents either. So I do know a few names from flamenco, and obviously Tarrega was supposed to be an outstanding guitarist, but he lived either side of the century. So Fernando So living either side of the 18th and 19th centuries. So the most interesting were unquestionably Fernando So, Dionisio Aguado, and later Francisco Tarrega, the awakener of the modern guitar. I would also pitch Giuliani, is it Mauro or Mario Giuliani, in there somewhere too. The studies of So, which are published here, can be used not only for the development of the technique of the student, but as well for the preservation of it at its heights for the masters. They contain the exercises of the arpeggios, chords, repeated notes, legatos, thirds, sixths, melodies in the higher register and in the bass, interwoven polyphonic structures, stretching exercises for the fingers of the left hand, for the fingers of the left hand for the prolonged holding of the cejilla, Spanish word for eyebrow, which is basically the capo, and many other formulas, so the capo being the bar or the barre, which if practiced with assiduity, very Segovian word, and intelligence, will develop vigour and flexibility in both hands and will finally lead to the better command of the instrument. Besides this indisputable pedagogical efficiency contained in these 20 studies, I can now say that I learned how to say the word pedagogical from Segovia. They have another quality which must become a part of anyone who gives this talent to the study of the guitar, who gives her talent to the study of the guitar. It is one which resolves itself into so many other manifestations of the true musical values which will emerge from the intimate solitude of daily work onto the surface before the public. And the reason why I said revolves there, I was just thinking when it says, when who gives his talent, his in English means his as well. It's the generic, just, with the cultural Marxism has bombed the language. So I'll say his for the record. So there you go. That's your lot. A few more little gems at the back there. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe you can pick them up around. I got this one in a charity shop. Okay, folks, ciao for now.